Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias. Believe it or not, actually almost to the day as I'm recording this, it has been 1 month since I uploaded the first episode of Flip the Script, the show where I turn the script over to you guys ask me questions, and I give you my 2 cents on various different topics in order to try and get more info out there into the community. As always, please leave your questions in the comments below for me to answer on the next episode of this. And please make sure that they go beyond just simple product recommendations or one-word answers. I'm looking for things that are a little bit beyond, hey, would you recommend this Balisong or this Balisong? Stuff like that. I'm also going to probably try and maybe this is something that you guys can tell me that you want to see. Do you want to see me go over comments that expand on previous topics? Because sometimes people will see me answer a question, they'll throw their 2 cents in. Is that something that you want me to go over? Do you want me to just keep it to new questions? We'll have that be the question of the day today. And I think I'm going to try and keep this around 20 minutes if possible. I think that was kind of the sweet spot that people were talking about in terms of like overall length. So let's get into our first question, and it is from Phoenix Star YT. Hi Ethan, when do you think someone is a good Balisong flipper? What would you consider, or would you consider someone a good flipper when they know tons of Balisong tricks? Or is someone a good flipper when they know how to put the tricks they know how to do into a smooth combo, or would you define it differently? I don't think there's an easy way to define what makes a good flipper, but I can tell you what doesn't make a good flipper, at least in my eyes. And this is a good time to say, I'm not pretending to be an authority on anything that I talk about in this video. This is just my 2 cents. So if you disagree, that's great. That's the point. Okay, there we go. Because I've had a lot of people message me about this over my years in the Balisong hobby, and they'll be like, hey, can you give me 4 or 5 tricks to learn so that I can become a good flipper? And my answer is always something along the lines of simply knowing a small list of tricks, no matter how hard they are, in my eyes, doesn't make you a good flipper. Now, I don't know what you're looking for good in this answer, but let's even just say average. I think the average person is someone who can string together combos in different ways. Say they know 10 tricks, and they can make, 40 combos out of that, just throwing numbers out there. I think that's what's really important when it comes to flipping a Balisong. I don't think it matters how hard the tricks you're doing are, especially if you only know like 1 or 2 super advanced tricks. Because like I said, if you just learn 4 or 5 tricks, even if they're the hardest tricks out there, it doesn't make me think you're a good flipper. It makes me think you're someone who can just drill the same thing over and over again, and it kind of makes you a one-trick pony. It's basically what I do. I don't consider myself a good flipper because I'm doing the same tricks over and over that I know on muscle memory to just kind of fill the background of these videos so that you guys have something that is semi-interesting to look at, and my brain has something to do while I'm talking. I think what really truly defines a good flipper is someone who understands the Balisong well enough to manipulate it in different ways, to come up with new concepts, and to string together the tricks that they do know, rearrange them into different combos. I don't think learning a list or learning some super hard trick is going to make you a goated flipper. I think what really makes you a great flipper is mastery. Not even mastery, it's just a good understanding of everything, from flow, cutting out hesitation, not moving your arm as much, because when you're super new, you're like flailing your arm and your elbow everywhere. There's a lot of things that you can look at to know that someone is a beginner flipper, let's say. I'm not going to say a bad flipper, but a beginner flipper. And I think that the way to get out of that is not to just learn a list of tricks. It's to understand the Balisong. Someone who is an amazing flipper, I would say one of the best out there, is Banks. And if you watch Banks actually flip, if you sit down and you watch what he does in a flipping circle or whatever, he constantly is throwing some crazy thing, messing it up, grabbing the Balisong in a weird way, and then thinking, you can see in his face, okay, what can I do from this? I can do this, and then I can go into that. And suddenly he's made a new combo, and it's amazing. It's incredible to watch. And a lot of the really good flippers are like that. They mess something up, or they catch something in a weird way, and their mind is instantly thinking, ooh, how can I use this? And I know those are freaking top of the top tier flippers, but that's kind of the mindset you have to get into if you want to be considered good. It's not just learning a checklist of tricks. It's understanding the motion of your balisong and how you can use that to improve your flow, your style, or your combos. Thank you for the question. Next question comes again from Laser Blade. Here's a fun question for the pot. How good is the common flipper compared to those in 2020 or 2021? Common flipper, I'm going to assume we're talking about the average, the mean, the 50% of flippers. I think skill in general in this hobby has exploded in terms of seeing styles kind of branch out. Back when I started in 2021, it kind of felt like people were all flipping. There was like a meta, right? You see these people who flip and their balisong constantly looks like a circle, like someone like KM Kilometers on Instagram. But nowadays you have all of these different interesting styles that are almost distinct to the person that does it. And I'm not saying that didn't exist back in 2021. It's just so much more prevalent now. You can point to so many different people who have such a distinct and unique style, which is really, really cool to see. But as far as the average goes, as far as the 50% of people that flip on a day-to-day basis, I think they are better, but I think it's largely the same. I think the average balisong flipper out there is learning a few beginner tricks, because let's be honest, average, a lot of the people that you see on Instagram are not the average. I would even say myself, I don't consider myself a good flipper, like I said earlier, but I would say I'm at least above average in some way, especially when I'm flipping off camera and I can actually focus on what I'm doing. So I can't really say that the average flipper has gotten too much better, but I think skill has definitely gone up, especially with all the resources that people can use to both find their perfect balisong to flip with or just tutorials in general, especially with Big Flips continuing to upload and many other different channels getting into tutorials and just spreading info in general. So I think what I would say to that is that the average flipper is more informed and maybe a little bit better than they were 4 years ago, but maybe not too much, while the high end is way different, and I would say even way more skilled than they were 4 years ago. I don't know. It's not one I feel super strongly on my opinion of, because it's, you know, I can't say I'm super in tune with the average flipper nowadays like I was back when I was part of the average group. That sounds really self-congratulatory. I didn't mean it to come off that way, but, you know, back in the day when I was learning tricks, I was very entrenched in kind of the typical flipping experience. Nowadays, my balisong experience is anything but typical with this channel, so I don't know. There it is. Thank you for the question. Another repeat question from Ice Noah. Have you had any tricks that, after learning, changed how you flip? Feels like the more time I spend with the choker fan, the better I understand momentum, even non-fan-based tricks. Yes, absolutely. There have been tricks that when I learn them, it completely changes my style in terms of I do it all the time. In case you haven't noticed, I like to fan and choker fan. That was a trick that once I learned, I started doing it more, and it changed my style because I started fanning more, because I really enjoyed how it felt to fan. But even going beyond that, every trick that you learn is teaching your brain how the balisong is going to react to different things when you move them through your fingers. When you learn a ladder, you are learning both how to hold the balisong in your hand and build up that finger strength, but you're also kind of learning the weird way that it carries momentum. There's that part towards the bottom where the blade slams into the handle and it kind of becomes heavier, and you have to do like that. There's like that kind of oval shape that you have to do to keep it going. Every trick that you learn is going to teach you something new about how a balisong is going to react, either in the air, rollovers, fans, and you're going to find that as you learn more tricks, it's going to be easier to learn even more tricks. I found that even when I don't specifically sit down and improve, even just sitting there and flipping and understanding the tricks better for a month or two makes it so much easier to do some cool shit when I actually do try learning and improving in the future. So yes, absolutely. As you grow your catalog of tricks, you do get a better understanding of how the balisong works, and it absolutely will help you to learn more tricks, change the way you flip, Get a new style if you find some new trick that you really enjoy doing. So yeah, thank you for the question. Here's a question from Woasted, I think. Do you think you would ever create your own line of Balisongs or go into modding like Rep Parts or doing what the Buffness does? No, absolutely not. I have always said that I don't want to create my own Balisong. The only reason I would want to create my own Balisong is to create a Balisong that perfectly matches my preferences. And I've talked about this with the Vault Pro. You can go look up the video why am I excited for the why I am excited for the Vault Pro to kind of get my full thoughts on this from back in the day. But the only reason I would want to make a Balisong is to have it perfectly match my preferences so that you could then buy or try that Balisong to see whether you agree with my preferences or not, which will then change the way that you rate my reviews and you weight them in your search for a new Balisong, because you can say either I really like or I really don't like what Ethan enjoys in a Balisong. For example, if you purchase a Balisong that I created to match my preferences and you love it, then maybe you would be far more interested in some other Balisong that I highly recommend, as opposed to someone who hates the Balisong that I make and then knows not to put as much weight into my opinions and go find someone else who maybe does match a little bit more. That's like the only reason. I don't think I'm skilled enough to create a Balisong that would flip well. I have tried with the first ever Create with Nibali's competition. I did try submitting something. It did not make a splash. I didn't tell anyone it was mine so that people wouldn't vote for it just because it was me. And it didn't even make it through the first round of voting. So I don't even think it actually made it into voting, period, if I'm remembering correctly, which was really funny. But I think the main thing is I do this as a hobby. This is not a full-time job for me. This is not every waking moment, especially recently. There was a period of time, 2022, 2023, where I'd spend every waking moment in the Balisong hobby. On Instagram, watching clips, watching reviews on YouTube, making reviews of my own. And the facts are, I just don't do that as much anymore because I have moved on to other hobbies that I just, what the heck? That I just, in all honesty, enjoy far more. Something fell off of him and I don't know what it was. So that's what I spend all my time doing. It's not something. Okay, let me kind of restart there. So I don't spend every waking moment doing it, and making a product would result in a lot of people trying to come to me for customer support or questions, or it would result in me constantly seeing people saying, "This sucks, I hate this," and it's just not something I want to deal with. Like, it's something that I'm perfectly okay with dealing it. You're allowed to hate things that people make. I totally get it. But it's just not something that I want to see or deal with. I don't need people DMing me saying, "Hey, I got your Balisong and a screw came out and it sucks and I hate you personally for this." I would just rather not do it. I literally just make some Balisong videos sometimes, and that's kind of the extent of everything. So no, I will not be making my own line of Balisongs. I mean, all of that to say, it's easier said than done. If someone came to me and said, "Hey, we really want to work with you, make a design or whatever," and you get a cut of it, it might be very difficult to say no. But also having my own Balisong would make talking about and providing honest, not objective, but honest feedback to other Balisongs more difficult, especially if I'm financially affiliated. It's a whole thing. No, probably not. But I'm never going to say never because, you never should say never. Thank you for your question. Now, here's a very interesting one from Duck Flips. Question: do you think Balisong flipping ever gets repetitive or boring after flipping so long? I've been flipping for almost 4 years now. As you're seeing this, it's probably very close to my actual 4-year anniversary because I started flipping in the middle of August in 2021. Not once has picking up a Balisong ever been boring to me. Never once has I sat here thinking, I don't want to do this. Of course, there are times where I would rather do something else, where I'd rather not flip because I want to play a game or build a Lego set or something like that. But as far as the actual hobby of flipping, I have never once even considered selling off all of my Balisongs and not owning any and disconnecting from the community entirely. In fact, the only thing that I've ever felt fed up with or bored of or like wanting to hang up is the YouTube side of things, because the YouTube side of things definitely complicates my love for the hobby quite a bit. Don't get me wrong, I'm in an incredible position and I am so lucky to have so many people that support me and allow me to check out all these amazing Balisongs. But the reality is I am not a personality built for the spotlight that has been handed to me, even if it is a very like functionally in the whole scheme of YouTube, you're looking at me going, you have 17,000 subscribers. That's not a spotlight at all. That's even more than I really am comfortable with. I have always said, I told Farbos, one of my mods, and someone who actually made a video for April Fools in this channel a few years ago, like the year before, I was like, I never want to be a full-time YouTuber. And that's true. I do not want this to be my job. There's a lot of things that can be quite frustrating about it. Just being completely transparent. But the thing that I have never, ever questioned is flipping. I love it. I will continue to do it probably for many more years. It is always interesting because if I'm bored of how I'm flipping, I can learn a new move. If I'm bored of learning a new move, I can just flip how I've always flipped. If I need inspiration, I can go on and see a clip. I can go make a clip. There's so many different ways to express yourself, so many different ways to spend your time. I mean, realistically, you look at me, I'm getting bored of things when I can really only do the same thing. You can only play Valorant for so long on the same maps, doing the same things, the same executes, the same plants, the same post plants, before it gets a little bit boring, at least to me. But Balisongs don't have that sort of defined gameplay loop, if you will. There is always something new to do. There is always something interesting to do. And it has never once been something that I want to completely disengage from, even if I have considered stepping away from YouTube a time or two before. Thank you for your question. Now, I think we are getting towards our end. And I am getting towards the end of the list of questions here. So let's see. Quoob says, do you think there are any untapped areas of tricks like parabolic stuff? I've always wanted to see parabolic into a reverse fan catch. Every part of the Balisong hobby is untapped. There are so many different tricks that people can do, so many different variations that people are going to be able to come up with. It kind of goes back to the last question I answered, where it's never boring because you can even invent something new. It's very difficult to, and there is a large epidemic of people going on the Reddit and saying, hey, did I create a clip? And then they just do a backhand fan. Or did I create a trick? Sorry. And then they just do a backhand fan. But like, especially as you get into that higher end of flipping, you can come up with some really cool stuff, and people have even recently come up with some really cool stuff that you hear people talking about. So I think there's always a new way to catch your Balisong, always a new way to throw your Balisong, always a new way to do everything. And I love that about this hobby. Thank you for your question. One more question. Actually, we'll do two more really quick from Kazit Cat. Do you have any resources you would recommend for beginners learning new tricks? Big flips and slow motion clips are my two things. Big flips teaches you specific tricks in a video format. The problem is he teaches them to you in a very discrete way, an isolated way. He only teaches you how to backhand fan, and you have to kind of rewire your brain after you learn it to be able to put it into a combo. Because like with the short stop, let's say he teaches it from close, and there's so few times you're going to be in the middle of a combo with a closed Balisong to go into a short stop. So what you have to do is you have to do a variation of it where you're doing it from an open handle like this, because, you know, I just grabbed it like that, I threw it around like that, and now I'm going to short stop it like that. And that can be a little bit difficult if you've only learned it from big flips. So what I really recommend is find someone that you like their flipping style of, find a clip of theirs that you think you can do, screen record it, slow it down, and learn it. And one thing that Benjamin Flips actually really, it was a great tip that I've been trying to put into learning my own tricks when I do this. When you're watching someone's slow motion video, don't pay attention to what the Balisong is doing necessarily. Pay attention to what the person's hand is doing. What are their fingers doing? Where are they moving? How is he generating momentum? How is the person transitioning from trick to trick? Are they spinning their fingers at all? Are they turning their wrist? Pay attention to that stuff. and it can really help you kind of understand what you need to do in order to get a trick done. But that's what I would say in terms of learning tricks. I think there is a huge need for a more streamlined and condensed kind of group of info for beginners, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. Our final question, coming from Traction Gaming 07, do you plan on branching out to other things as far as YouTube goes? Yes and no. I mean, realistically, I already have. That's why Bonus Bias exists, is to talk about other hobbies that I like. The reality is, and the reason that I chose to answer this question, is YouTube and doing YouTube and becoming someone that people look to for opinions or anything like that is going to fundamentally change your relationship with a hobby. And the reality is, I don't want to deal with that in my other hobbies. I don't want to become a Transformer YouTuber that people are looking to review the next figure. I don't want to become an audio person that people are looking for my opinion on X set or Y set. I just want to enjoy the hobbies. So Balisongs is probably where I'm going to stick. And then I'll pepper in some other hobbies, because I do love sharing the things that I'm passionate about, but I do not want that to become my main thing. So as far as my main thing is, it'll probably be Balisongs for the foreseeable future, if not forever, until I, quit. But I think that does it for Flip the Script episode 2. Thank you all very, very much for your questions. Thank you all so much for watching. I don't know if we hit the 20-minute mark after editing, but I hope we're at least close. Leave your questions down below, and I will see you all in the next one. Later.